All right, good evening. It's American Hammers TV. It's Wednesday night. We've got our crew here to talk about what's going on with West Ham. First of all, congratulations to our friend John Nolan, who may or may not be dropping in. He might drop in, who just won Hammer Shots, our game show it's hosted by Adam Frankel with questions from Wally, who I see in the chat room already, and Rebecca, who was on the show at the end. Well done, John. Really good job. And it's gratifying to know that the person who knocked me out of the tournament was the eventual champion. So, which technically means I finished second. Okay, that's how that works. You guys,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
you guys know sport. You know sports. That's how sports work, right?
Exactly.
That's how it works. So, also congratulations to me is what I'm saying.
Right.
Silver medal.
Yeah, to me too, because I feel very much a part of this. If I hadn't lost to John, he wouldn't have been able to be champion. So he really owes me a lot right now. Yeah. So Tim keeps telling us to say this, and I keep forgetting. But if you have not yet done this, please like and subscribe. Subscribe to our channel. Tell all your friends to subscribe to our channel, and get them on Twitter and Facebook and all that. And the more people we have on, the more it helps us pay the bills, keep StreamYard running, that sort of thing. I have given in, and I'm upgrading my internet speed pretty considerably at the end of the month. So that really doesn't have anything to do with liking our channel, but I'm just letting you know, that we're making a commitment here. Yeah, we're making a commitment here. So, yeah, of course, this is true. I have no idea what he's talking about, but I'll just say that, yeah, of course. Anyway, yeah, like and subscribe. If you want to be on, let us know. We'd love to have you on. If you're a West Ham fan from anywhere in the world, just let us know. Go to Facebook, Twitter, go to our website. If you go to our website, AmericanHammers.net, you can get all kinds of cool stuff like the American Hammers TV flag back there, which I still haven't put up properly. But anyway, that is actually sitting on top of my wife's master's degree from Oxford. That's how we prioritize things in our house. Our master's from Oxford is covered by an American Hammers TV flag. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, so like check out our website. Tonight, by the way, I just got I got the hat with the flag on the side. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting. That's not bad.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. So it's 47 brand, which are the only hats that really fit me properly. Now it's got the Velcro on the back, which is not the best. I like them fitted usually, but I'm not gonna be too picky. So I feel pretty good about it. It's not bad.
yeah, they don't too bad. How much was it?
I think this one was like 26, 28 bucks, something like that. It's a little on the high side. Yeah, a little high. I tend to buy stuff when it's on sale at the end of the season. But when I saw this come out, I said to myself, I think I have to get the one with the flag on it. So anyway, I also got 125th anniversary badge hat. So that means we'll almost assuredly get relegated this season. So I'll have the relegation badge. Anyway, Chris is with us. Chris, you're back in school in what's the name of the school? Marysville?
Marysville is my hometown, but
sorry.
Mercyhurst is the university.
Mercyhurst, that's right. Mercyhurst, because you got the hockey program. And Mercyhurst is in Ohio or Pennsylvania.
Erie, PA.
Erie, PA. There you go. So Chris is in Erie, PA. Danny's our man from East London, currently living in the South in North Carolina, home of vinegar-based barbecue sauce and fine pork product.
I lived in Erie, Pennsylvania for a year, Chris.
Oh, really? No kidding.
Yeah, I went to school there. Yeah, played soccer there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. We could have been best friends. We didn't even know it. Small city.
As Selly's back at home in Colorado, are you in school again, Selly?
Yeah, my classes will start on the 31st. They'll be all online for me, but
okay.
Yeah, so they start then.
Are you in Boulder then, or are you in Denver?
No, right now. Right now, I'm in Aurora. I'll be moving into my new apartment.
Wow.
You live there too?
Yes, I did. Aurora and Breckenridge in Denver. Yes, I did.
Did you ever live? Yeah. Did you ever live in Boston, Danny?
No, I did not, Lee. Unfortunately.
How about Midlothian, Texas? I hope for your sake you haven't lived in Midlothian, Texas.
Very, very close. North Carolina is as close as I got.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of things that are similar, but Anyway,
No, I didn't
appreciate
know.
all you guys being on tonight. In the past couple of weeks, we've tried to do fun and interesting things with this show, and I don't want to do that anymore because it haven't really worked all that well. So I have no agenda tonight. I won't be pretending to defend the board or do anything ridiculous like that. I think maybe we should start, if you guys want, with some of the transfer rumors. Biggest one right now is the one that I guaranteed would happen, which is this Diop, because I have his shirt from 2 seasons ago.
Wow.
So, right, because I bought his. Because when I bought his shirt, he had a good season his first season, and I liked him. I thought he's a good young player. And I was like, he's on a long-term contract. This is a safe investment, But of course, here we are. So there's a rumor that he's worth £45 million. That he could go to Manchester United or Tottenham. This seems insane to me. I still like him as a young player, but did they watch him play this past season at all? I mean, what do you guys think about this? 45 million for Issa to a top 6 club, or something like a top 6 club?
I don't really buy it. I've seen a lot of people say that we don't. It's probably not realistic that we would even get close to that amount. I mean, that is. I believe that we brought him in for about 22 million, so we'd be more than doubling our investment.
Right, it'd be tremendous. Yeah.
So clubs, I don't think so. Tommy and I have discussed this on our trading or our transfer rumor show, which I think we're going to be actually going tomorrow instead of Friday, as I'm going to be out of town this weekend. But Manchester United's been interested in Rice as well, but they don't have. They're a little bit strapped for cash now too, especially with trying to go after Jordan Sancho and them. So I don't think it's realistic that they're going to be able to drop £45 million on a center back, especially after just getting Maguire for $80 million.
The legendary Harry Maguire. Yeah.
So I don't think
be on ice. Bambi on ice for $80 million. Yeah, that's right.
I think Tottenham is the only logical one that, like, where the rumor could be somewhat plausible. But again, I think it would come down to the mindset of they're our biggest rival. Why would we be giving them a decent player, or any sort of caliber player, regardless of how much money they're willing to give us?
Right. I mean, so we do have to sell to buy, apparently. Sam Ingersoll told us that when we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I believe him. I don't believe anything the board say, but I believe Sam. So apparently, I mean, there is the notion that £45 million is a lot of money. We could convert that into some terrible signings that David Sullivan engineers. But no, it is a lot of money, and it would free up a little bit of transfer budget. I hate the thought of him going to Tottenham. I don't like the thought of him going to Manchester United either, but I hate the thought of him going to Tottenham. I don't know, Danny, Selly, what do you guys think? Would you keep him? I mean, he's still, what is he, 22 or 3 still? He's young.
I believe he's 20.
Dan, you can go first.
Oh, thanks, Sally. I was waiting for you. No, I think he's young, and I think he's one of those players that maybe needs to play with a specific defender with him to kind of gel and mature himself. Bonner this season was, to me, the standout center back, which last season Diop to me was the standout center back.
Yep.
They've kind of reversed roles there.
Yep.
I think maybe keep him for another season. 45 million is a lot based on how he performed this season. But if we're only going to invest in loan-in players with this money, we're not really going to, turn around and in the long run kind of benefit from selling him. I think he's a good defender. He's got a mistake in him, but he's also got a match-winning tackle in him. It's very hard to define him. 2 seasons I would keep him personally because the players we've been linked with. Jones hasn't played much for City. Jones is just give me 10 men before Jones, and Shane Duffy is just really slow.
Yeah.
So to me, I would keep him. 45 million, like I said, it's a lot of money, but what are we really going to do with it? So.
Well, we never do anything with it. It just disappears, and we bring in a bunch of players on loan. It's always the same thing. I don't trust the board with the money. That's the problem. What do you think, Sally? What would you do?
Yeah, I guess kind of a combination of both of what you guys. I think that the rumors are valid for both teams, especially since in the past Manchester United, generally wanted him, and I know Spurs have been in the conversation as well in the past. So I wouldn't doubt either one of those. However, I think this would have to be a make or break season for him. I think right now it would be a steal at 45 million pounds, but I agree with what you were saying, Lee, in the fact that we probably wouldn't get or use it properly in the first place. I mean, you think about it, 45 million pounds is Sebastian Haller, right? And I know
Yep.
the jury's still out on him, so who knows if we can spend it right. But that being said, we've seen Diop really good, and we've seen a really bad Diop. But just like Danny said, he always has the game-winning tackle in him, and he does have kind of some kind of like sneaky speed. He is still kind of young in his defense in terms of, I think sometimes he gets nervous in the box on free kicks and he doesn't jump, or he lets somebody like quickly get behind him on his marker. So, but then again, at the same time, I think the past 2 years he's played with what 3 or 4 partners in the center back role. Obviously, Ogbonna, Balbuena. I don't remember if the game with Rice was with Diop or if that was with Rice and Ogbonna. But either way, there's no cohesiveness with him either. And every every good team, granted they have a solid back line, but the two that you always keep are the center back. So I think this is the year where it's like, hey, you could get another contract with us, or we'll ship you off at the end of the year. So I think it's honestly just up to him and how he wants to continue his career.
Yeah, I looked it up because I couldn't remember. He's 23. His birthday's in January, so he's right in the middle of being 23. You know what I mean? I thought, I agree with you, Sally, that he does have some nerves. He has had 2 different partners at center back. He had Balbuena a lot of last season, Ogbonna almost entirely this season. I think too. I mean, obviously we need to invest in fullbacks, particularly a left back. And I think if we do that, that'll help him as well. I thought he looked better when Ben Johnson came in and played right back. He looked more confident. And I think if we could replace Cresswell on a regular basis, then that will help his confidence as well. I didn't think he had a good season, but he's 23, and I'm kind of with Foe on this. I don't know where he set it up. I think if we keep him around another season or 2, especially maybe, as you said, Sally, maybe like one more, I think he could, one, do a really good job for us with a better set of fullbacks playing with him, and more experience playing with Ogbonna in the center.
Right.
And 2, if we did go to sell him, I think we could sell him for more. I think we could get more value from him. I still,
Do you think?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm listening to you. I was
just
just
gonna
say,
say,
it makes a difference?
do I think it
You
makes a
think it
difference
made
who-
a difference that last season he played with Balbuena, and the season he played with Ogbonna? Do you think that Ogbonna outshined him this season?
I think
Ogbonna definitely outshined him. He was talk for Hammer of the Year for most of the season.
right. Ogbonna was.
What do you think?
With all due respect,
Diop was bad this year, or Ogbonna was just better?
Both?
Yeah, a bit of both.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you too. If you guys remember Diop's first season with us, he got up into the spring. He got up into March, April, and he started to struggle a little bit. Now he didn't. He was still a solid choice at center back, but he made some errors. He started to struggle, and I think the grind of English football got to him a little as you turn that corner into the last maybe third of the season or last quarter of the season. I think this season he did take a step back. I do think, Danny, you're right that Ogbonna is a much better center back than Balbuena, and we all saw that. I think our turmoil on either side of them at the fullbacks all season didn't help them. But I think of like when he made that run against Spurs last season, and when we beat them at White Hart Lane, and he probably should have scored, nearly scored. He's got moments in him of just like magic for a center back, and he's even this season. It can go back to 3 or 4, really critical tackles he made. I think given his age, I would probably hang on to him. The reason I think we'll sell him is because I think we need the money. You know?
Yeah.
That's a very good possibility. Especially given the other targets as well. I know the big rumor right now is, as well as Felipe Anderson, are they going to? I've heard Arsenal as well as going back to Lazio. But the issue with it is if he goes back to Lazio, we're not actually getting any money from him. More likely, we're just going to stop the payment and maybe recoup maybe a couple mil with that. So
Unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, just send him back. It's a try before you buy. You know, had him for a couple seasons.
trial run.
Yeah, exactly. I would hate to see him go to Arsenal because if he goes to Arsenal, he will be very good there. He'll want to play there. I think if Felipe Anderson wants to play, he can play. I think the guy's a tremendous player. I don't think he likes West
I
Ham.
don't think he's going to play at Arsenal though.
Well,
I
not
don't
with
think
the
we'll get
not.
any game time at Arsenal.
He'd have a lot of competition. Yeah, that's a good point. I'd like to see him go to Italy just because I hate seeing our players go elsewhere in the Premier League and then coming back and having fantastic performances against us. You know,
Right.
and coming out and being superstars. Felipe Anderson, I think he's got an immense amount of talent. He was one of our better players, you know, last season, or I guess now 2 seasons ago. I thought this season just finished. He looked finished. He looked done with us. He looked just disinterested and done. I don't know what
It
you
was like
guys
that
think.
for the entire time. I mean, there were some small flashes, but I think the whole season, he just, I don't know if he wasn't interested. I mean, I think at the beginning of the season, you know, I feel like I don't know. It's weird to say, you know, because you think about it, he did really well when we had Pellegrini, and then it kind of shifted, obviously, when the managers changed. So I don't know if it was maybe like maybe a familiarity, you know, as far as Pellegrini, but at the same time, you know, it was just obvious. Like you could drop him or you could start him and you would never see him, and you could obviously not play him, and you'd never notice a difference of him not even being there.
Yep.
So I think that's crazy because last year he was easily one of our best players.
Yep.
And that's why
he would do well. I think I have
right.
a lag with you, Lee, because every time you talk, I talk. I think I have a lag like about 3 seconds behind you, and I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
I think he would do good at a team that does not have to defend as much as West Ham do. I think he would do perfectly fine at Arsenal, but I don't think he would get in the team based on them just signing Willian. They've got Willian and Aubameyang seems to play from the left, Lacazette through the middle. They got Pepe. They like to play this Willock guy or the other youngster up top. I don't think he would get into a team, and I wouldn't like to play against them because the West Ham way is these players that don't perform for us perform against us. And
absolutely correct. Yeah.
So it's tough.
What I fear with both of these players, with Diop and Anderson both, is that first of all, if Anderson goes if he goes to Lazio, I think as Charlie was saying this, you know, it just, as you guys were mentioning, we just won't pay for him, right? We'll just stop the payments.
We might like a few million, but not even close to the amount of money he's actually worth.
Right. And not enough to replace him or buy another. We don't really know, buy another player, you know, buy a left back or a right back. Oh, you're right down there.
Yeah, sorry, I just sneezed.
Oh, I know what's going on. The fear I have with Issa is that we'll take the $45 million and we'll pay off the money we already owe on other players. You know,
we might pay for Haller with that $45 million.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think he's the only one we still owe on. I think we owe a lot of. I think somewhere I saw the figure, and I don't know if this is true. I saw it on Twitter, so please take it with a grain of salt. Somewhere I saw that we owe something like $87 million on various players, which doesn't surprise me either. That's a lot of money. It's basically 2 Sebastian Hallers. It's a lot of money, and that's the whole squad. But I mean, you sell Diop for $45 million, and that pays off half of that, but it doesn't bring anybody new in. You know, it doesn't.
Right. Just so Haller.
Well,
and now that Jordan Hugel's back, it's a conversation to have, I guess.
Well, Hugel's apparently going for $2 million. How cheap is that right now? Give the guy a chance.
I would
2 million. I thought
honestly.
he played really well too in the championship. 2 million, that'd be a ripoff. We didn't even pay
It's-
for 2 million. for him.
Deal, the negotiation ongoing right now is a deal that would be a base of 2 million with incentives that could make it rise as high as 5.
Oh, wonderful.
Awesome.
We need to. The only reason we need to get rid of Hugo is to somehow get Easy into this team.
Yes.
He is a class player, and that's the only reason Hugo should leave this team. Because I'm sorry to say, Haller had a terrible first season with us.
He did.
He didn't live up to his price tag. He
Right.
may have a great season this year. He may have a month off and work his ass off and come back and be a great performer. But to me, even though Antonio performed great up top towards the end of the season after COVID, Antonio is not a striker to me.
No.
And we need someone who is an out-and-out finisher. And Charlie might like me on this, but I've watched Hugo this season, and he can finish the ball.
Yeah.
And when he first signed for us, I was like, who the fuck is this fella? But after watching him this season, why not give the guy a chance? Because I can guarantee you he's worth a lot more than 2 million to 5 million in this price tag of football.
Right.
Yeah, I mean he's he scored I think 15 goals for QPR. It's really good return. I know it's the championship, but that's a good return. For £2
What did
million
Colton Cole
pounds.
score for us in the championship?
Well, say it again.
What is that?
What did Carlton Cole score for us in the championship?
Oh,
Do you
that's a
remember?
good question. He did
Because
have a lot of
Carlton
goals that
Cole-
season.
But then Carlton Cole, when we went up after Vazte scored against Blackpool, went into the Premiership and performed because he played with the same players. So what
Right.
is the difference between Hugo playing in the Championship and Carlton Cole playing in the Championship? Why not give the guy a chance? Carlton Cole
Right,
did it. Why
yeah.
can't Hugo do it? You know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's proven. All he did
The
was
guy-
score for Q.
Absolutely. He can't be on huge wages. I mean, there's no way.
He's not.
Well,
He's
Uh,
got 55,000.
that's
Right.
that's always been the complaint that we're going to have a tough time moving him on because he's on big wages for what would be a championship side. Like
That's why we should have him and Hilaire
Yeah.
paired up in the top and just watch him score 50 goals this season.
Hu-
Carlton
Hugo
Cole
scored all 50.
Carlton Cole scored 14 goals in the championship.
And that's
in the
great.
league.
We haven't had somebody score 14 goals here in forever. I mean,
How many years did we keep Carlton Cole for?
Carlton Cole was here for like 12 years, something like that.
Okay, so Hugo scores 15
No, that's
in one
not right. I'm
season,
sorry.
we'd sell
He
him
was
for
here.
2 million?
I'm sorry. That not quite that long. About 8 years. I'm looking at his
So
Wikipedia.
why
That's how I know.
sell Hugo? If Hugo
Right,
scores
yeah.
one more than Carlton Cole in a season and Carlton Cole gets 10 years, then why do we not give Hugo a chance to perform in the Premiership? What chance did he get? Because I guarantee you he got the same amount of chances, if not less, than Albion and Jetty. And I promise you, Jetty is going to score at least 15 goals for Celtic this season because he's given him the opportunity
Jetty's
to play.
going to be the newcomer of the year in that
He
league.
is. He's
I
gonna
can
be
guarantee
great.
it. And the thing with me for Hugo, I think and I've said this in the past too, but I truly believe that Hugo is going to be one of those players that whenever fans can go back in the stadium, that whenever he touches the ball in an attacking sense, there's going to be so much electricity for him to shoot and to score. Because I feel like the fans can genuinely get behind him.
I agree.
Because
with
I
that.
mean, when he
And they will.
signed for the club, nobody knew who he was, but you could see like he was genuinely excited to be at West Ham.
He was happy.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, and
That's what we need. We need happiness in this club.
yeah,
Someone that is like let me show you what I can do. That's what Hugo is.
I think that's an excellent point. I really do, Danny. I think we have as we've talked about this a lot, we have a toxic atmosphere around the club caused by the board. It's the board's fault. All right. It is. But, the way the fans have reacted has been a necessary way to react with protests and so forth. Even so, I think it has created a toxic atmosphere around the club, which, again, I blame the board for, not the fans. But if you look at guys like Anderson, Allaire, they don't do what we want West Ham players to do. They don't put out the effort. If you look at Antonio, if you look at Snodgrass, obviously Declan Rice, if you look at Ogbonna this season, those are guys, they may not be the most talented, but you never, ever question their effort, ever. And
I got a question.
But look at
It's kind of a devil's advocate one with kind of what you were just saying, Lee. And I guess with the exception of the exception of Ogbonna, do you think that might be more so of a case of your UK players against your foreign players, just the work ethic and stuff like that, at least for this team?
I don't know. Danny, you're shaking your head. You tell us what you think.
I'm gonna based on what you just said, Lee. You said Antonio, Snodgrass, Rice.
And
Antonio
Ogbonna.
came from the champion. All right, so Antonio came from the championship, right? Rice is a youngster. Snodgrass came from the championship.
Mhm.
Let's put that. Let's put Jared Bowen into that. These
Yep.
are players that are young and want to make a point. Not players that have played for big teams and have a name for themselves. These are players that want to grow, perform, and be professional footballers. So they don't have to be the highest paid players. They don't have to be the players that came from the bigger teams. But they're the players that play with a smile on their face and give the performance every week. That's
Yeah,
all I
that's a
want
really good point.
like out of these players. Like you name a player in the West Ham team that has come from anywhere besides Ogbonna, who fair enough was arguably the player of the season. But the players that perform and run their asses off are the players that come from the championship and want to prove a point to play in the Premier League. And that's why I do not go against West Ham buy-in from the championship.
I don't
Because
either.
these
I
players
agree
want
with you.
they want to be
Yeah.
professional footballers.
Yeah,
I think
You know?
that-
So
I think to Sally's point, though, I think a little bit of it has to do with as well. They grew up watching the Premier League. They know what it's like. They know that it means a little bit more to them. The likes of Felipe Anderson, obviously being raised in Brazil, he wasn't raised watching the Premier League, so it's kind of a different atmosphere for him. I've always kind of held that. I think for me, I think one of the big reasons that the likes of players like Anderson and even to a degree Allaire were brought in by the board was as a fashion or a kind of like a promotional tactic, being like the fancy foreign players, the flash players.
Allaire they had to bring in because they missed on Maxi Gomez, right? And
Yes.
Right.
there was all this Maxi Gomez talk, all these rumors, and then they didn't get him, so they had to go spend the money on somebody else. They needed a striker, number one, and number two, they needed a splash, so they got Allaire.
Yeah.
But hang on. Well, hang on. It's in part. Excuse me. Sorry. We are joined now
Why do we have the curry hour background?
from.
Why do we have the curry?
We're joined from the city of. Good Lord! Look at this. It's Walsh.
Oh
We're
my
joined
goodness.
we're
Hear
joined
Jordan
from the
Hugo
city of-
talking in
I
great
know.
way.
Oh my God.
Charlie's trying to get in on the bandwagon here.
We must have been talking about Jordan Hugo. We must have been
What do
talking
you
about
mean?
Hugo because here comes Walsh.
What do you
Anywhere
mean
some-
must have? Okay, don't think because I'm not here. I didn't feel the vibes. I didn't. My
We
ear-
must-
Anywhere
been
somebody in the
talking
world
about
discusses Jordan Hugo.
Batman spotlight? It's the Hugo light.
Right.
Running.
Right.
God,
It's the
what
Batman signal. Right. It's Jordan Hugo. Like it's in that first picture he took with the shirt where he's just like he's like a kid at Christmas. That's what Charlie sees in the sky
we
when
cool
anyone
big
discusses Hugo.
dudes.
But wait a minute. But first of all, let us welcome from Philadelphia, which is his penalty for being good at West Ham trivia. He has to live in Philadelphia. Let us welcome from Philadelphia, the champion of Hammer Shots 2019-2020, however long it's been going on. The champion of Hammer Shots, who only narrowly defeated me in our extremely tight match. It's not actually true. It's not actually true. Mr. John Nolan. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Lee. I
Hello,
don't know
John.
what happened. I just blanked out for the last 2 hours. And I think Danny actually won in the chat room. So I don't know if he might be the true champion. Either him or Gary Perridge. He keeps smashing all of the answers in these things.
Next season, Danny's going on next season. You're going on next season, right, Danny? You have to.
I have to. I want John's crown. And if I beat John, I want his shirt.
I've only had it 3 minutes, Danny.
Yeah, wait a minute. No, I didn't know there was going to be a shirt for the winner. Nobody ever mentioned that to me.
High stakes.
So I might not have thrown the match to you,
We're on
John.
the bench.
I might have, because we had it. John and I made a little deal. It was like a WWE type thing where we got backstage and I was like, "Look, John, I know all the answers already. I could, I don't want to embarrass you. So, no, seriously, I didn't know there was a shirt, but congratulations. What are you going to get? Do you know what kind of shirt you're going to get? Is it
Probably an Arbeloa one, I'm thinking. So we'll get his name on the back. And, just commemorate the victory that way. Yeah, it was a hell of a game, I'll tell you. Like I said at the start, it's only easy if you know him. And God, Tom was so impressive the whole tournament through. I'm just amazed that we even have hung tight with him. So a good game, and looking forward to seeing. Thankfully, I'm not allowed in next season. That's fine by me. I will happily watch.
What? You should no, that's no fun. You should defend your crown. You should defend your crown. I think you should be the only one allowed in.
My guess is that there will be a winner of season 2 versus John kind of thing at the end.
Yeah, that's what we should do. It should be like a tournament of champions. Yes, we're not a tournament, but a champion, like a summit, match for the winner of season 2 and the winner of season 1. Adam did a great job hosting that show. It was really popular. And it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed the 2 appearances I had on it. And Rebecca and Wally did a great job with the questions. So everybody did, really congratulations everybody on a great effort. Charles, is it especially bright in your room? Is that what's going on?
I'm just here to say one thing and one thing only, Lee. And that's that you're doing a beautiful job hosting. You're a lovely man.
I appreciate that.
Me and John were just having a conversation about your hair. We think it's great.
Look, I got the Yank hat tonight. See, I've got the. Is it on that side or on the other side?
You're repping. I'll tell you what, you are repping the club much, and I'm sure David Sullivan is happy. His pockets are probably very happy about it. But yeah, I just came out to say one thing, and that is that I don't think I didn't see no Hugo hate just because I wasn't in the chat. I don't think I didn't clock it. Okay.
Oh wait! We weren't hating.
Not you. It was the chat. It was the chat. I saw it from afar.
Oh, okay. But the chat. No, we all said. Now listen, all of us. Chris. I think you were with us, right? I think all of us. Sally,
I'm kind of in the camp. Like I hated the selling of the Yeti because he was never given the chance. So I'm kind of in the same boat with Hugo. So I think he at least deserves a chance to prove himself.
We're not going to get anything for him. I mean, what did we pay for him? 11 million pounds, something like that, 10 or 11 million, and we're going to sell him for like 2 or 4. Look, I mean, why not just hang on to him at this point, right? Emergency striker, give him a chance. Fan favorite, guy could become a legend. He goes out and scores a winner against Tottenham or Chelsea or Manchester United. The dude has cemented his legend forever. But what Danny was saying, and I agree with this, he wants to play for us. Felipe Anderson doesn't want to play for us. I can't tell with Sebastian Haller. He looks disinterested. You bring these guys in, and big names, big clubs, big leagues, and so forth. They don't care. They don't care. So Hugo, I mean, look, we were just saying Carlton Cole scored 14 goals for us in the championship in 2011-12.
He did.
Was that right? Yeah, 2012. And then Hugo scored 15 for QPR this season. We brought in Bowen from the championship. We brought in Danny. You brought up a bunch of examples. I'm forgetting now, but everybody Snodgrass, everybody we've brought in from the championship has put out effort, if not always.
Cresswell, kind of.
Cresswell. No, but
Cresswell, he was Hammer of the Year his first year.
Cresswell was Hammer of the Year his first year. Yeah. Cresswell's been a good servant to this club, and I know he had a bad season.
We've always looked to the championship, and it's most of the time worked. I don't see why it can't continue to work. Just because we have a little bit of money, we have a bigger stadium. Why not?
We don't have a little bit of money. That's part of the problem. Hugo, right. Hugo, to me, he's not on big wages. We know that. There's no way he's big wages. We're not going to get anything for selling. Why not have him hang around? What harm could it do? I mean, the strikers we've had come through, who've been just abysmal. The Calieris and the Zazas and the. Well, actually, I didn't think IU was all that bad. But anyway, he couldn't be any worse.
He's back up to Haller, though, right? I mean, because he's a similar type of player without any of the class. Sorry, Charlie.
Of course he is. But
we still need a different type of striker, right?
We do. But it's not hurting us to keep him on. How does it hurt? He doesn't make a lot of money. We can't sell him for anything.
It doesn't.
Let me say this, because I'm gonna dip out again because I don't want to interrupt your show too much.
No, you should stay. You should stay.
No, I'll say this. I'll say this. Why? To be honest, it's because Rebecca and Tom were telling me they want to play Fall Guys, so I'm gonna go play Fall Guys. But what I'll say is this: are any of you aware of the political idea of the Overton window? To any of you, I don't know if any of you, I'm a politics person, I study politics, right? The Overton window is the idea that you have a window thing on the left-right spectrum that is what's acceptable at any given time. And when you have popular figures who come outside of that, they drag the window slightly towards them. When I first started saying, recall Big George, everyone was like, that's lunacy, Charlie. No, he's rubbish, leave him there, he's crap, blah, blah, blah. Where are we now, people? We're moving slowly towards the Jordan Hugel star. I'm just saying it. And just in case anyone in the chat wants to get funny about this, I'm just going to leave a little reminder that I'm always watching. Okay, recall Big George. Thank you, everyone else. Have a good show. See you later.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie, for coming. Enjoy. There he is in the background. I don't know who made that happen, but that's awesome. I don't know how you do the background, but I love that. Thank you, Charlie, and enjoy. Whatever is that what we need to do?
Fall Guys.
Fall Guys?
Just like it's a new craze. I don't really know I know what it is. I haven't played it, but it looks
Fall? It's called Fall Guys?
Yeah, you have a character, you just try not to get knocked off the map, essentially. It's like you and like 30 other people just trying not to fall off the map.
Huh.
Let's talk about West Ham and not Fall Guys.
No, I don't want to talk about Fall Guys. I don't know anything about Fall Guys.
I did have a question that was similar to the championship argument that Danny had brought up. So I know you were saying that a lot of the players that we brought up from the championship perform well because they want to make a name for themselves. Would you also equate that to people that we bring in from lesser-known European clubs, that they'd be the same way?
There's the Fall Guy for you guys. There's the Fall Guy. You're either too young or too English to know who that is, but that's the legendary Lee Majors as the Fall Guy. Great. He was a stunt man. The setup was that he was a stunt man, and he was also a bounty hunter. It was great TV. Absolutely magnificent. Anyway, Pearl, obviously you have no appreciation for this because it's from a different era, but that's the Fall Guy right there. Charlie, you want to be the Fall Guy? You want to learn a lesson, son? You want to learn a lesson and being the Fall Guy? You watch that guy right there. That's what you do. Plus, his first name was Class, Lee Majors. Anyway, I think that's a good question. I mean, Souček thus far, coming from a small league, has been great for us, and I think there's very much the same kind of idea there. He wants to prove himself. Yes, that's
definitely.
Wally gets it. All right, he was a $6 million man. He was more famous as a $6 million man, but yeah, Wally gets it. Wally knows. Wally's the king. He's still the king.
I did think I recognized Lee Majors. So.
Yeah, no, Lee Majors was. I don't know if I'll see if look up he's still alive, but he was a dude. No, I think Selly. I think that's a really good. I think it's a good point. I think it's guys who want to prove themselves, right? And because I think what happens is some of these guys come from bigger clubs, or maybe not bigger clubs, but big clubs. Or they come from Germany, they come from Italy, wherever, and they move to the Premier League, and they think because they're in the Premier League, they're in the big time. Then they end up at West Ham. You got to deal with, Sullivan and Brady, and it's a whole. Everybody hates the stadium, and it's just it's not glamorous. It's not, and there's a relegation battle every season. I think they get frustrated, and they lose interest. But you bring a guy from Czech Republic, or you bring a guy in from, the championship, or someplace that's lesser known. They don't care about all that. They're just trying to prove themselves in England. I think there's a lot to that. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
What is this? That's Charlie. Definitely put that up.
Oh.
What is that noise?
Yeah, I mean they do though. They do. They see our training facilities, and yes, Heather Thomas, by the way, no question about that. She was super hot. One of the two hot Heathers, Heather Locklear, of course, being the other one. You guys who weren't around.
I agree with you, Sally, definitely.
If you weren't in this country in the 80s,
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
well, and I guess also kind of to go off what you were saying too, Lee. I get that, facilities might not be great and the owners might be trash and all that, but I mean, even if the fans don't like the stadium, if you're a player standing in front of 60,000 fans, all singing bubbles, it might not be right on top of you, but that's still, in the lights, you're still in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, when you're coming in from a equally sized or bigger club, that shouldn't really be a reason for you to not perform. I feel like that would be all the reason for you to want to perform. But
you would think.
Yeah, it also goes, I guess, to the same thing of people coming in from smaller clubs or the championship is, you see that and it's just more motivation for you.
I think, our fans are the best fans in the world, as I've always said. The main reason I support West Ham. Right now, we're a very touchy bunch. And those who go to the games every Saturday or when that was possible, I have total sympathy for everybody who goes because I know it's not a great show right now for the most part. I know there's a lot of frustration with the board. Right now, I think our fans are very quick to get on players' backs when they don't play well. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case in a lot of other places. I'm not sure. I don't know what the Germans are like. I know the French are not so much like that. They don't care enough to be like that. So I don't know if there's a sense that you come to West Ham and, you don't start off well or you have a bad game and all of a sudden it's like everybody's right on top of you. And maybe that's not a positive experience for the players. I don't know. Or maybe they don't care, but I do think they care.
Yeah, so one thing I think with it too is I think something that does end up having an impact is kind of the money. I think that, like for the Felipe Andersons, they coming into London. I mean, London's an attractive place to live for guys like that. So they can come in. They're making. I believe I just looked it up and Felipe Anderson makes $85,000 a week.
Yeah.
At that point, you only have to put in mediocre performances just to keep yourself afloat, and then you're getting a big payday living in the English capital. So I think at some point money does come in and start to play an aspect into it, and it just kind of goes to the heads.
Yeah, I mean, we do probably overpay a lot. We have a lot of players on high wages who don't really earn their pay, and then we have guys who are, on more reasonable salaries to do most of the work, like Snodgrass, for instance, or Antonio, where you have Allaire and how much do we still pay Winston Reed every week? He hasn't played for something like 800 days or something like that.
Do you guys think that the players that make less money are trying to prove a point so that they can make more money, and the players that make more money are content with what they're making because they know they will either not get less money or get traded to another team?
I think
players, like they're content with where they are.
I think that it's, in my personal opinion, I think it's the case of them trying to show what they believe they're worth. And I think they're because some animosity created in the training room when the likes of Allaire and Felipe Anderson, who aren't performing on these big wages, and then players who are performing week in and week out, they're not making half of that. Take case of Declan Rice. I mean, prime example. He's not, at the moment, Declan is not getting paid what he's worth. So
Right.
I think.
Do you just like a comparison going away from West Ham? Mesut Ozil gets $375,000 a week at Arsenal. Sanchez, before he left Man U, was getting $500,000 a week at Man U. Do you think these players are just like, well, okay, that's easy money to live on? We're not doing comparisons with West Ham to these big teams that have more money, but player-wise, do you think the mentality is not the same? That they're content with where they are, and they're just like West Ham is a jumping beam to another club?
I think you've heard some of that, right? From Joe Cole. You heard some of that saying that West Ham can be a place to go to. Players can take a vacation.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that, maybe to Ricky's point that you put on screen, Lee,
Yep.
I'm not as concerned about the wages as I am concerned about the ambitions of the club. If there's no ambition to improve, if there's no culture of excellence, if it's not driven from the top down about always improving what we do, then what does that drill into the players? They don't have day to day the thought of performing better than they did the day before. And I think that's probably a bigger issue to me. I don't know. I'm on the outside looking in. We all are. I don't know. I don't really know. But if I were to guess, I would say not having somebody drive for excellence every day and actually want to compete at the highest level. That's probably a bigger issue. If you look at something like Dimitri Payet, and we had the rumors of what happened in London, his wife moved back to France. But the other thing really was that transfer window after the Euros where he was fantastic and we didn't surround him with players of a similar caliber.
Yep.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I'd look at that and go, what the fuck am I still doing here?
Yeah. Right. I mean, and that's pretty obvious too. I mean, the point you make about the driven excellence from the top down. I mean, Liverpool's obviously the clearest example. You know, their owners are the same owners that own the Boston Red Sox, and look what they did to the Red Sox, right? The Red Sox, you know, they were decent for a long time, and then the owners came in and they've been to 4 World Series in the past 15 or some odd years. So
they've won it 4 times since 2004. Yeah, after going 86 years without winning it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a perfect example there. But then, you know, the Sanchez one, I think a lot of it too, you know, mentality is where a player goes. Obviously, you know, West Ham, the biggest example, but you know, not everybody can just go into Manchester United and get paid big wages and just be great, you know, because one, obviously you're coming into the Premier League and that's its own challenge. And then 2, you have the weight of going into like a Manchester United team who's, you know, arguably the best team the Premier League has ever seen, you know, history-wise, obviously maybe not right now.
It is,
you know,
history-wise.
And you know, the Theater of Dreams and all that, the history behind it, the players who have played there. You know, I mean, look at, what's his name? Gary Neville. He's always cussing out that team when, you know, like De Gea or somebody puts in a poor performance.
So does Rio. Rio does the same thing.
Did you see what Roy Keane said the other day? When Roy Keane, it was Man U against Tottenham towards the end of the season. Tottenham scored a goal that was Maguire and De Gea's fault. He said, I wouldn't even let Maguire and De Gea on the bus. Make them fucking walk.
Yes. I did see that.
So, you know, I think when some players go in, you know, they have all the facilities and whatever, but the same aspect of, you know, again, for Manchester United, look at the players that are performing well for them. You know, the pretty much all came from their academy. And Pogba's even a perfect example. Pogba couldn't do anything with them the first time that he was there. And then he went to Juve, you know, was amazing, and then came back, and he's kind of, you know, a second-rate player now. I mean, he still has his shines, but he's not the Pogba that was at Juventus.
Well, for Manchester United, he's not a star anymore. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and a lot of players will want to go there, and then you end up, you know, barely getting playing time because you're just one of the guys. You know, you're not the centerpiece. You're just another part of the, you know, the chessboard. So I think where players go has a lot in how they perform. Honestly, I think you always have to find the right fit, no matter where you go.
I think John's point. I think it's a good thought, Sally. And you know that we talk about you know, our fans getting on players' backs to some extent, but yeah, you get these legends from other clubs who will just tear into players, like at Manchester United or Liverpool or places. Manchester United seems like the one that sticks out in my mind the most. Where you get Rio, or you get Gary Neville, as you said, or you get Roy Keane, who, you know, that guy's insane anyway.
Steve Bruce before that, yeah.
Right, who will just shred players if they think they're not good enough. You know, to me, we could maybe use a little more of that. I don't know that we need, you know, Frank McAvenny or Tony Cotty, who do speak out on West Ham, you know, to necessarily tear into players, but I would like to see more of what I've seen from like Ian Bishop, where, you know, he talks about effort, and he talks about you know, what makes a player a West Ham player, what makes a player a West Ham legend. It's about putting forth the effort. It's not always about being the best, it's about putting forth the effort. And he told us when we had him on the network about a year ago, he told us stories about how he would call guys out in the changing room. You know, he told us stories about you know, how he would be a leader. And I don't know how much of that we have. You know, I'm sure Mark Noble does that to some extent. I don't know what kind of authority he sort of still has as a player who's obviously aging. But culturally, as a club, from the top down, from the board down, through all of our many of our former players, there doesn't seem to be that like push like to be better all the time. It seems to be
Lee,
that we're. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you know who, like, if you guys were to guess honestly and like think about it for a second, the two most intimidating people in the West Ham changing room, who do you think they would be? Off the top of your head, think of two people you walk in that changing room after losing a game, or two people that on a training ground are going to kick you up the arse. Off the top of your head, who do you think they are?
Right now, probably Noble and Snodgrass.
David Moyes and Kevin Nolan.
I would say Kevin Nolan and Stuart Pearce would be my two, and they don't even play.
Oh, yeah.
Because Stuart Pearce. No, I think Danny. That's a great point. Look, we all love Mark Noble, and we've seen him represent the club with great dignity, and we've seen him carry what's his name from Manchester United across the pitch. We've seen him literally go head to head with Paul Pogba. But I don't. I mean, is Mark Noble a kick you up the ass kind of guy? I don't know. He seems a little more like a mensch. He seems more like a mensch.
He seems like the kind of guy that's going to hug you around your neck and say, come on, it's going to be better. He's not the kind of guy that's going to say, do fucking better. He's not the guy that's going to say, do this or get off the field. He's just kind of, you can do better, and he's going to support you rather than. It's kind of like Moyes to me. I think bringing Stuart Pearce back was a great decision. Keeping Kevin Nolan was a great decision.
Yep.
We just need a little bit more fight in the club.
I would like to see, and I think this comes right back around to what we've been talking about for the last few minutes. With all due respect to Noble, I'm with you, Danny. I think Noble is among his own teammates. I think he's a guy who gives you a hug and says it's going to be okay. And you need those guys, right? Those guys are important. But I think we need another Ian Bishop in there to point to a player in the changing room and say, he's not performing well enough. He's not putting in the effort. Because he told us about doing this, John. You were there. You hosted the show.
Keep people accountable for it.
Right. Reduccio, whatever his name is, the Romanian guy, West Ham signed. He wasn't up for it. And Bishop said, he pointed at him in the changing room in front of everybody. He said, he's not up for it. He's not good enough. He's not putting in the effort. He's not doing what he needs to do for the money he's on and for the role he has in this club. And I kind of don't see Noble as doing that. I'm not sure. I'm with John. I think it's Nolan. I think it's Stuart Pearce and probably Moyes. But I think you need somebody in the playing staff, somebody on the pitch who will do that and do it on the pitch. I don't think Noble's going to do it. I don't think Declan Rice is that guy either. I think Declan Rice is too cheerful.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Maybe in a few years he will kind of start to fit that mold, but right now he seems more just kind of buddy with everyone.
Exactly.
He's going to have to, whether it's with us or with somebody else, if he's going to get to that next level, he's going to have to set the standard and not be afraid to tell everybody when they're not meeting the standard. I mean, that's just what the top players do.
Yeah.
I think Nolan did that. I think Nolan did that when he was at West Ham and he was playing for us. I'm sure Nolan did that when he was captain.
We've had that for years. What do we have? We had Alvin Martin. You look at him as someone you're scared of. Thomas Repka. I wouldn't want to see him in a dark alley. Julian Dix. And now we don't have those kind of figures. Billy Bonds, you don't look at him as a mean guy, but I can guarantee you he kicks people up the arse.
Sure he does. Of course he does.
We've always had the aggression. We've always had the dog in the changing room. And now I feel like it's, unfortunately, Mark Noble, who's a friendly guy rather than a fucking do your job or get out of my team kind of guy.
Yep.
We need someone that is just, booting him up the arse. I'm super, honestly, I don't want to elaborate again because I've said it before. Stuart Pearce, to me, is going to be our biggest signing this summer, and he's not even playing on the field.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. He's the type of personality we need. The culture of West Ham, go back as far as you want to go. There's always been, as much as, we've been about developing young players and playing the West Ham way and playing attacking football and all that, which a lot of that's gone by the wayside. But as much as the history of that is there, there's also a history, as you said, Danny, of somebody in the changing room, somebody in the team who goes and gets in guys' faces when he needs to do it. I think that goes back a long, long way. I think that goes back decades. And, as you mentioned, Julian Dix, Bonds, Ian Bishop when he was there. I mean, I think Scott Parker did that when he was with us. I know he did when we were down 3-0 to who was it, Burnley or
West
somebody
Brom.
like that.
West
Who
Brom.
was it? West Brom.
Brom.
Yeah, we were down 3-0 to West Brom, and he peeled the paint off the walls at halftime, and we came out and drew 3-3. And I know that was a relegation season, but still, that was an example of. And now you look, he's succeeding as a manager at Fulham. So there's always been a
That's the
guy who
difference.
does that, and we
That's the
don't have
difference.
that.
Well, I know the other day I was saying, players players kind of take the mentality of their coach. Well, you think about it too. Those three coaches that we were talking about, they're not just going to be tough on the guys, on match day. It's going to be every day of the week. So what you hope to see, is something to where maybe the players get so tired of being cussed at that they actually start putting in more effort and then holding each other accountable. Because I mean, a lot of the times, and I know you're not going to always have like a get in your face attitude in practice, but I mean, I feel like whenever you see stuff from practice. There's never any yelling, even when they're showing like the, like the 6
it's the Friday feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The Friday feeling is like it's a Tuesday. Like y'all just got your ass whooped 2 days ago. Like stop. Like there's nothing to be smiling about on this day. Like get in there because, and I don't know. I feel like a lot of times players now are disconnected from fans. Even their social media and stuff. But I mean, you think about it like. If somebody was to have a rough performance, they're just going to go home and just go to sleep and not worry about it, But the entire time that person's going to get cussed out by their fans until they improve their performance. But, like I said, back in 20, 30 years ago when we were winning, when we won the cup and just had a better locker room full of players, like those guys.
40 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. A little bit before my time, but you go down.
It was 20 years ago.
After a match, you probably see one of those guys there with the people, But and I think you see that a lot now with the events that X and them have before matches. Because the players they bring on, like everybody loves those. I mean, granted, you're not going to bring on somebody that the fans didn't like, but they're just personable. Like they're relatable. There are people that went in and were hardworking because, as we all know. This is a working man's club, always has been from day one. So, when you come in, you don't put effort, people are going to get on top of you about it. And just as we were saying earlier in the conversation, like if players don't like when fans get on top of them, then either leave or get better.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
You guys,
I do. I agree with that completely.
You remember Neil Ruddock?
No, I don't.
All right, so. Neil Ruddock, he played centre back or left back for us. His son played on my football team in Brentwood in England, Great Danes. And Neil Ruddock was at every game that his son played at. And every time we would lose a game, Neil Ruddock's son would cry. And this was going from 8 years old to, I think, 12 or 13 years old before I played for a team closer to my high school. Well, Neil Ruddock would come on the field and tell my coach, the coach of my team, to shut up because he wanted to speak. So Neil Ruddock would take over my team's team talks at halftime or after the game. He would pull his kid aside. He wouldn't smack his kid, but he would discipline his kid as if to say, shut up. I'm Neil Ruddock. I'm this tough guy that's a professional footballer. I've this hard-hit reputation. Well, we never lost a game the next season because Neil Ruddock would be our assistant coach and told his son, you are not going to play until you get, your head out your ass. His son did not play one single minute for us out of the next 14 games that we played.
Wow.
And we ended up winning all 14 games that season.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yes, that's God's honest story. Neil Ruddock's son. And I've also, Steve Pott's son as well. I played five-a-side Astro with him. In a city where I was born, like East Ham, there was a little leisure center up the road. Steve Potts would not let his son play. That's the discipline that we need as a professional team.
Which, and this goes back to what we were talking about with Hugo. I mean, I know this is crazy in modern football. Probably nobody will agree with me. Maybe we shouldn't do this, but to me, the next time Sebastian Haller goes out and sulks and walks around and doesn't make runs, you tell him, all right, next week, Hugo's going in. You're
Yeah,
you're
don't
getting
blame.
you're 45 million pound striker on your 100,000 a week or whatever it is. You're getting bumped by a guy who's valued at 2 million quid, who makes
Right.
55K a week.
I mean, it's the exact same. That's my opinion with Felipe Anderson as well. I mean, all of them. I think the reason that Moyes ended up benching them too was to try and give them that kick. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you need to play up to your expectations and what you're capable of. And with Anderson, he gave him another shot, didn't do it, so he's just done with him. Gave him garbage 9 minutes. So I think Moyes has lost all confidence in him, and I think he wants to move him on. So
If you look at what happened after we dropped Anderson and Lanzini, and I know Lanzini's a different story because of the injury. I do. I don't really question his effort. I don't think he'll ever be the same footballer again. But if you look at what happened after we dropped Anderson and Lanzini after the restart, we got better. We got a lot better. Noticeably better. I mean, the results were better. The performances were better. It was a different team. You guys have all, I'm sure, played organized sports at some level. You've all been a part of some organization, whether it was sports or something else, where people have to work together. You know that if somebody's not pulling his weight, it's a problem for everybody. And you know that if it's somebody who is supposed to be a leader or one of the better performers for whatever reason, it's a big problem for everybody. So yeah, I mean, this is why I've said for a long time, Felipe Anderson, just let him go. Let him go. Yeah, he's done with us. Doesn't want to play for us anymore. John, you're on mute. Oh, there you go.
No, keep him. No.
Why? So he can
Absolutely
walk
not.
around. So he can walk
brilliant.
around. What? Okay, John,
He's
Danny, who
brilliant.
are you agreeing with? Are you agreeing with me or John, Danny?
I'm agreeing that Felipe Anderson needs to go. He's disgusting.
All right, tell us, John.
No.
Tell us. Give us your
No.
rationale. He is the champion of hammer shots, guys. So listen, okay?
He's had a bad year. He's had a bad year. I mean, it's nothing more than that. If you look at the start of the year, he basically had all of his goals and assists at the start of the year. He was leading our pack through the first 10 games for all that stuff and dropped off his production. It wasn't good. If you look at his averages over the last 7 years at West Ham and at Lazio, you know, the man is accountable for the same amount of goals as Dele Alli at Spurs. We need to keep that kind of production around. There's nobody we're going to replace him with that's going to do the same thing. And look at the teams trying to pick him up. He's either going to go back to Lazio or he's going to go to Arsenal. How many fucking players do we have that Arsenal would ever pick up?
Listen. That's a valid point, or Lazio for that matter. I get it. When Felipe Anderson, he scored a goal against Southampton, and I think it was on Boxing Day, two seasons ago.
Oh yeah.
Southampton scored a jammy goal to open. I think it was with a handball goal pre VAR.
2-1, yeah.
Yeah, and Anderson just stormed. He just took the team on his back, and he stormed down the pitch like I'm done with this. You know what I mean? Like I'm calling game, as people now say in the U.S. for some reason. I'm calling game, and I'm scoring this goal. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was a man possessed. He was like friggin' Maradona out there, you know. And I don't see that from him anymore. That's the problem I have, John. Is I'm waiting for that Anderson to come back. The Anderson I see now, I don't think he wants to play for West Ham anymore. He walks around, shrugs his shoulders. He doesn't track back.
He's a confidence player, and his confidence is shot. And I was very hopeful that the break for coronavirus would bring it back. It didn't. I think Moyes reverted to what he knows. I think that's why you saw the team survive and get back to some sort of winning ways, because he reverted to what he knows, which is, you know, more direct and playing with runners. Antonio's a runner. But I think there's room there for an Anderson. I think he needs to play number 10. I think he is a top 50 player in the Premier League if he plays with confidence, and he needs to get that back. He is that good. He's got all the attributes. No, he's a number 10.
Okay, so there I can agree with you. But the way we play him, which is left mid, he's not suited for our system. You want to take Fornals or Lanzini out and you want to put Anderson in, I can understand that. But the way that Moyes has been playing him, he's not performing. Laziness. I mean, midfielders, give him a free role or give him a number 10 spot right off a striker, and running back isn't that big of a deal. But the position that he's played in, which has been for 2 seasons left mid, he does not get back. So I don't feel as though we can judge him based on if he's playing out of position, fair enough. But I've looked at his Lazio clips, and I think he was quality when we picked him up. Good signing, fucking love it for the money we got him for. But is he a left mid or is he number 10? Because like you just said, John, I would prefer him to play off of a striker rather than as a player that needs to get back.
I think he's number 10. I don't think he's lazy, and I'll disagree half with you there, Danny, because I don't think he gets back as much as he should. But I think if you look at his tackling statistics the last 2 years, he's been carrying a lot of water for Cresswell, and he has been getting back past the halfway line.
I was just going to ask about that. This is
stick a boot in. I would not accuse him of not sticking a boot in. I think he's all right with that.
Mo just brought this up. It's a good point, John. Cresswell and Masuaku, left back is our weakest position by far. And you guys remember all this season, even after we replaced Anderson, we never found a solution on the left. We stuck Fornals out there by default because we had nobody else. And he was okay. Yeah. And he put in effort
as well.
And he's a number 10 as well.
Fornals cost us 2 points. Fornals cost us 2 points at Liverpool. Sorry, not Liverpool. Newcastle playing left mid. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He did.
Yeah. I agree with you guys. Now, thinking about it, left mid is maybe not Anderson's best position. Maybe keep him, but play him in a different position. But for me, where we're playing him, it just doesn't work for me, honestly.
Yeah, it doesn't. Ideally, Danny, for me, we're playing a diamond in the middle, and he's top of the diamond behind 2 strikers.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is. Number 10, that's probably just an attacking midfielder. I don't know. But the way that we play football now, if the one striker is kind of how every team seems to set up and have some hybrid winger striker combo that's going on at half the English clubs. I think if you had to pick, I'd stick him at a number 10. But
if there was a way that you could get a confident Anderson and Bowen playing at the same time, that could genuinely be like terrifying for other teams, because Bowen and Anderson can both get past pretty much anybody that they want to, and they both have the ability to score outside the box. As we've seen, like that Southampton game that you were talking about, Lee, and Bowen's done it as well. And neither one of them are shy to shoot. Just give them a little bit of space and they'll take it. But yeah, I guess for the record, I wouldn't want to get rid of him either. I do think that both him and Diop just need to get back into the same form they were in 2 seasons ago when they actually were both.
The argument for keeping Anderson to me is this argument that Charlie makes, that John made, that you guys have all mentioned. Nobody has succeeded on the left for us, basically, because we have terrible left backs. If anything, the best left winger we have is Arthur Masuaku, who's not a fullback. He might be a decent left winger. He's not a fullback. Cresswell's obviously past it. I love him, but he's past it. So, I can see. Listen, I will allow for Anderson, for what I consider his lack of effort, I will allow there's a lot of frustration there because he can't get forward the way he wants to. He's out of position and he's got nobody behind him. He's not a big track back guy, but he's having to be a de facto left back because he knows that there's nothing behind him. So,
right.
I get that. That's actually a really good argument. A really good argument. I still
ask Chris a question.
Go ahead.
Chris, you mentioned in your transfer show, I don't know if it was this week or last week, something to do with Diangana. So you move Felipe Anderson into the center. Do you start Diangana at left mid, or do you start anyone else at left mid? And if so, who can fill that position at left mid if Anderson hit?
Well, so yeah, that was one thing we were talking about, and Diangana has been playing left wing for West Brom, and he's actually been doing decently well for them. So I think that right now he's almost the de facto left winger for us, especially if Anderson is either moved on or if he's moved to the number 10 role. I think he's the de facto just because we really don't have another solution, because Fornals isn't by definition a winger, where Diangana, even though he's more trained on the right, he can still do the job on the left because he knows how to play the wings.
Yeah, is Diangana? I mean, I know we don't have a whole lot more time, but I mean, is this guy our savior? Honestly, I know he had a great season at West Brom, a club that played at something like the Premier League level because they kind of walked the championship. But when he played for us, he wasn't there. So, do you think the season on loan did him that much good? Do you think he steps in and he's a Premier League winger for us this season? You seem to think so,
Yeah,
Danny.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so too, just because you just like you said, he was a big reason of why West Brom finished first in that table, and that's got to do something for confidence. I know he was hurt for a little while too, but at the same time, like you don't get on loan to a team that you help promote and you don't gain some kind of confidence from that. Same thing whenever Nathan Holland comes back. Nathan Holland went down on loan and all he did was score goals, and nice ones too. So I think it's got to help. I mean, I don't. But at this point, too, why wouldn't you start him? What is your next best option?
Well, there's not one, really, is there?
I like him, and I know
I don't
Danny
think he's
will
smart.
jump in here, so I'll just get a quick mention of him briefly. But he is a winger. Who else on
Yeah.
our team can you mention is actually a winger that plays on the wing?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's some kind of winger striker hybrid all over the pitch.
Yeah.
Diangana is a winger. Like, let him be a winger.
Exactly. Yeah, Diangana, the stats. I mean, 30 matches, technically 31 across all competitions, but I mean that was only one other appearance. So 30 in the championship with 8 goals, 6 assists. I mean, you can't.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell me that a player playing like that on the wing for a championship side doesn't come in with a boatload of confidence.
Right.
Especially,
I hope so, and I think he should.
That's 14 somethings out of 30 games. He did something in 14 of those games out of 30. That is almost 50% of. And to me, what I don't know if you saw the matches when Diangana got injured. West Brom went from first in the table to fourth in the table when Diangana went out of the team. He came back in, got West Brom in a promoted position, and he proved himself. And to me, Diangana, when I first saw him play, I think it was at Macclesfield, 8-0. He was playing on the right midfield, and I thought he was great, but I thought he was too left-footed. He always wanted to cut on his left foot. Well, going on loan to West Brom, he played on the left foot. He learned to use his left foot and be a natural winger. So now he's played right wing for West Ham. He's played left wing for West Brom. And to me, that says, well, now you're coming back to West Ham. You know how to play on both wings, and you're an asset to this team. Whether he starts week in or week out, that's a big question. I don't think he does start the season. But to me, that's a winger. And I mean, I can't think of, off the top of my head, I can't think of a left mid that has been, fully left-footed, or a right mid that has been fully right-footed for years. They always rotate. I think Diangana will be an asset to the team. I think he's going to have a great season. I'm happy we're keeping him. Where we play him is up in the air. But to me, Bowen is a right mid, so the only opening is left mid. And I think Diangana can fill that.
What were those stats, Danny?
8 goals, 6 assists.
Those are Anderson and Lazio stats right there. I'm telling you.
That's true.
I'm telling you.
In fact,
give him a chance. Give him another year.
Well,
I mean, that's
Neil,
what 16 goals.
Italian league. All right.
Neil had
I'm not gonna
the
talk about the Italian league. It's not a big deal. I don't like the Italian league.
Yeah. Well, the Italian league's boring. Let's face it. It's dull. I mean,
it's a soft league where everything's a yellow card. If you even blink at someone, it's a fucking yellow card. Let's be honest.
And they dive constantly.
Yeah, everything's a dive or a penalty. It's like menu.
Yeah.
Penalty.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. Ricky asked this question. I don't think. I mean, who else? Oh, number one, left back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right back.
And
Right
that
back, maybe.
implies that Fredericks is our right back, and I'm not okay with that.
No, I don't think Fredericks is good enough.
He's not.
He just can't. He can't place a pass. He gives the ball away too frequently.
Yeah.
When he gets going forward, he can actually be decent making like overlapping runs. He's not that bad going forward, but
He's fast.
he can't defend.
It's not possible.
He can't. Well, he can't defend. He can't get the ball out of his own half of the pitch, without
He's just
giving it
an
away.
athlete that happens to play that position. He's not skilled in it. It worked in the championship because he could blow by anybody. But now that he's in the Premier League and other people have skill, like you're gonna need to do more than just be able to be fast,
Yeah.
And he can't jump, he can't pass, he can't really shoot.
He can't get in position to defend. Yeah, I think Ben Johnson could possibly this season, maybe 5 games in. I don't think he starts the season. 5 games in, Fredericks has a bad 5 games. I think Ben Johnson could be our right back for the rest of the season. But I think
Ben Johnson
I think he should start there. I think he should start there. I think
I think he should. Lee, I agree. I think he should. But Moyes will not start Ben Johnson from the beginning of the season.
I agree.
There's no way that Moyes does that.
Moyes likes the veterans. Yeah. Moyes likes the guys he's familiar with.
I like the whipping link with that Rico guy from Brentford. I think he is class. I really do. I think he is.
Rico Suave? Yeah.
Rico Suave.
Yeah, Rico Henry. Well, the question, and maybe one last question before we go. Did we buy anybody in this window? I know technically we bought Souček, but do we buy anybody in this window? Or are we just going out there with the club with the side that finished 16th and do our best? Hope for the best.
I think that's probably what we start with the additions of the people that we have back on loan. And, we'll see if anybody from the academy gets on the bench, but I don't see so. I mean, the only people we've been linked with are just all rumors. I saw something today. I thought we had signed somebody because I saw West Ham Central on Twitter had that thing up announcing Easy. I thought that was real until I realized
that all the time. No, that guy does. You can't pay attention to that guy. West Ham Central does that all the time. He creates these welcome to West Ham videos. No, it drives me nuts. Yeah. I don't like that. I should honestly. He makes some good comments, but I should unfollow him because I hate the whole like fake welcome to West Ham video. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, but either way, I don't think we sign anybody. If we do, it probably won't be anybody too spectacular. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think we loan, if anything.
So, I mean, where does that leave us at, let's say, at Christmas? Are we in the relegation zone? Or, as John has always said, John, you've always said, and I think you're right about this, if we just play up to our potential, we're a mid-table club. It's just most of last season.
I don't think there's a bad team there. And I think we will sign somebody. It's just a case of what? This is the ownership that signed Sami and Nasri, right? And it's on loan for a little while. We will get somebody in. It's just where and who and how much it is. And is it a shot?
Right.
We'll get somebody. I don't know who that is yet.
There's Rico Suave for you. There's Rico Suave for you. He's going to come in and all he has to do is flex. When he flexes, he's going to intimidate all the opposing wingers, strikers. So that's the legend Gerardo of late '80s, early '90s fame. Since we're doing a little pop culture stuff tonight, the rumors are always wrong, right? Because whatever is in the English sports press never happens. So we know that. We've always ended up signing somebody in the past. The question is, will it be anybody who could actually help us?
Yeah.
So where do we need? I mean, there's so many places we need, right? But I like Ricky's question of Diop for Stones. I'd be in for that. If we had to get rid of Diop, I think I'd be all right with it. A year or two ago, I'd say that his ceiling was very high, but it doesn't seem like you can head a ball. So,
we talked about that to start the show. We talked about that to start the show while you were still basking in your glory of the victory. I think the argument for keeping Diop's 23. I looked at him. He's 23. He's young. He had a bad season, but I thought he looked better with Johnson at right back. And Danny was talking about how he played almost all of last season with Balbuena, almost all this season with Ogbonna. Maybe Ogbonna had a great season, made Diop look not so good. I still think Diop has potential. but 45 million pounds, if I thought we would actually invest it somewhere else, that's a pretty good haul. We paid 22 million for him, I think. So, you know, do you think John Stones steps in for him and there's no, drop off there?
There will be a drop off because he's a lot slower, and the dude's just a brick. Like, just no mobility with that guy.
John Stones to me is one of the most overrated centre backs in the league. And when England played Croatia in the semi-final of the World Cup, I think it was just after he signed for Man City. Me and my dad were watching it, and I said to my dad, "Watch out our position. John Stones is so many times in this game." And every time he was out of position, I said, "Look, Dad, look, Dad." And when Croatia scored that goal with Mandzukic, John Stones didn't jump for the fucking ball. To me, he's overrated. He's overpaid. And maybe a team at West Ham, he might do decent. He's a bigger name, but he's not a top centre back.
The bigger names we talked about earlier. Bigger names don't always do well with us, right?
Exactly.
Bigger names,
Exactly.
I always thought John Stones. He looked like he was scared to play to his price tag when he went to Man City.
I agree, John, definitely.
I'm a little bit worried that if we got him, it'd be similar to Wayne Bridge coming, where you expect something a lot more than what you actually get. But
that was a disaster, unmitigated.
That whole huge drop off from Diop. I don't know if there'd be a huge drop off from Diop. I think Diop's all right, but I replay that moment over and over again where him and Ogbonna played, ping ball at the back there. I can't even remember what game that was.
That was Brighton. That was Brighton. That was that Brighton disaster. Yeah, that was the loss, the draw, 3-3 draw. That was more like a loss.
That was.
Yeah, that was the Glenn Murray.
As soon as you said the ping ball, I said, "Yep, I remember that."
I'll tell you what happened. I don't know if Ken is still in the chat room, but I watched that match at Ken's house, and his daughter, who's like high school, I think she's a freshman or sophomore high school. She walked into the room, and it was like 75th minute. We were up 3-1. And she's like, "Wow, West Ham is winning," and it's like 75 minutes in. We were like, "Shut up, Kelly!" And sure enough, just like that, 2 goals for Brighton. Anyway, Kelly's a sweetheart. But that was not her finest hour. I do remember that. Let me ask you this, John, since you were talking about Diop. I mean, where do you think Diop is? Is he? Can he redeem himself? He's 23, or is he just not as good as we thought he was?
He's got plenty of time. In fairness, he's got plenty of time. I mean, the way the league that works now, you rarely get kids break through. A lot of players seem to break through 21, 22. So we do need to be a bit more patient with him. I just wish he was more dominant in the air. He's 6'13". He needs to be better in the air than what he is. I mean, he's not a small fella. So maybe Ogbonna can teach him a little bit. I think Mourinho was onto something, calling him a monster a year or 2 ago. He has good instincts. He was a captain at his last club. His ceiling is very high. So I know I'm contradicting myself a bit because part of me wouldn't mind letting him go just to have the money, but I do think his ceiling is quite high. He could be a future France international if handled correctly. So I don't know.
It's a lot of money, though, John.
He improves. His ceiling's very high. It's
a lot of money, though. 40 for him. I think that's a lot of money. Now, Foe was saying he wouldn't take anything less than 55.
It's a lot of money now. 2 years from now, he could be a £100 million player.
Very, very good point. He could be like Rio, right? When we sold Rio to Leeds, and then he ends up going to Manchester United for what was then a British transfer record, which back then was like £10 million or something. But point being, could be the same idea.
Look at Diop for 45 million. Look at Maguire for 85 million. That's 40 million difference. How different are they as centre backs?
I mean, is Diop better?
I mean, they honestly were going to spend that for Diop before they signed him. So, I mean, I guess it just shows.
Look at it like, is Maguire worth 85 million? Because to me and to anyone normal, Maguire is not worth more than fucking Diop by more than 5 or 10 million. So you're telling me this guy's got 40 million on him?
But you guys remember, though,
a club who has money to throw away.
Do you guys remember, though,
the English premium as well, right?
But wasn't there talk about selling Diop for $60 million at the beginning of last season?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
So do you think is it COVID or his performance or just the football market? Why? I mean, so we're talking about how he could be a £100 million pound player in a couple of seasons, and I think that's probably true. But right now, he seems to have lost a chunk of his value over the course of a year.
Yeah,
I mean,
his performance faltered. It had nothing to do with COVID. His performance was just poor.
Yep.
So I mean, do we? I get again. I guess the question becomes then: do you cash in on him now, or do you keep him for 2 more seasons, and then he ends up being a $12 million signing for somebody?
Well, then you keep him for at least 1 more year. If you're going to sell him, if he's struggling, then try to ship him in January for something salvageable. Or if he's good, then maybe next summer he is worth, 60, 70 million pounds. But I mean, I think it'd be way too early to give up on him now just because he had one bad season after one good season. That wouldn't necessarily be fair to him.
Anderson. The comparison there is the same as Anderson. He had one bad season.
Let me ask you this. When you watch, I know it's hard with center backs because they're not doing a lot of, they don't get up and down the pitch a lot. But when you watch Anderson, when you watch Diop, do you see a difference in effort and a difference in commitment? I do, but I don't know if you guys see that too.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the difference to me with Anderson. It's not the skill; it's the fact that he doesn't look interested.
Right.
Issa Diop might make mistakes, but he never looks disinterested to me. That's the biggest. I think that's the biggest.
There's a big difference between a left midfielder and a centre back, though, Lee. A centre back is.
Well, of course there is. There has to be.
Time. Yeah,
there has to be because the left midfielder is all over the pitch. Yeah.
Well, Anderson is more of an attacking player. He's Brazilian. He comes with flair. Sure. He comes with wanting to score goals, wanting to perform, wanting to be a Dimitri Payet kind of guy. Diop just is in the center and has to do his job. Head the ball, clear the ball, tackle. But again,
yeah, absolutely.
Effort is the biggest word for me besides respect when it comes to a football club. Play for the badge and put the effort in. And Diop's done it. Anderson hasn't.
I mean, that's how I see it. And again, I think we have a tendency sometimes to fall in love with players, and I know I do. And I think Diop could be somebody who, if we kept him, could really regain his status, I guess, in the side. But if we have to sell to buy, and we do need at least one more fullback. We need a left back if Ben Johnson's our right back. We need some cover at that position too. I mean, if we have to sell to buy, that's 45 million pounds. That's about a 20 million pound or 22 million pound profit. That's, I mean, there it is.
Yeah. Well, and I get to your point with the debt that we have from other players. If we do sell him, would it even make any sense? Because we wouldn't use that money to get other players.
That's always the fear. Is we won't spend another player.
That's what it boils down to me for a lot of players in terms of, are we going to reinvest it into the club or into the squad? Or
we never do. Although that's not true. We spent 200 million pounds a couple of seasons ago. Just didn't go great.
But yeah, we have two issues right now. If we take that 45 million and just put it in the bank or put it towards the debts, I mean, it's not like we've made ourselves better. If we take that and buy a left back, if we bring in someone on loan potentially for center back and bring in the likes of someone like Eze, that's perfectly fine with me. If we were to sell for 45 million and address all of our needs right there.
But as we talked about at the beginning, my fear is again that we spend that 45 million on money we already owe. Like what we did with the Yeti sale to Celtic, where we said we're going to pay off the rest of Allaire now. If we take the 45 million and we spend it on what we already owe on players, that does us no good at all. It leaves just a big gap in the center of our defense, and then it brings nobody in. And that's what I fear the board are going to do, because they're incompetent. They don't know how to run a football club.
Yeah,
basically. Anyway, Danny has to get up at like 4:00 in the morning or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say it's 10:30 here. I got like 5 hours sleep. I have to jump off.
Appreciate your dedication, my friend. Appreciate your dedication. I think it's as good a place as any to wrap it up. Danny, appreciate you being on down in North Carolina. Sally back home in Colorado. Chris at Mercyhurst. See, I got it right this time.
There you go.
Chris, what is the mascot at Mercyhurst anyway?
We're the Lakers.
Okay, so like, isn't that also Lake Superior State, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's the same thing. Anyway, Mercyhurst and Erie, PA, and then John Hammershots champion. Congratulations in Philadelphia, and from me here in the Merrimack Valley, 30 miles north of Boston. We appreciate you guys being on. I think Rebecca and Katie doing their show again tomorrow night. Rebecca was on earlier. I don't know if she's gone to bed or what. But...
they're doing it tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. So Rebecca and Katie, that is the most watched weekly program on American Hammers Network, by the way. It is one that's. It's a good show as far as what we run every week. It's the most watched, and it's kind of not even close.
Yeah,
they get like twice as many viewers as we do, which is understandable. Anyway, check them out tomorrow night. Thanks for everybody for being in the chat room. It's good to see you all. Thanks for everybody for being on tonight, and come on, you Irons.